country, how do we deliver a program of our sport that is ever more fun and ever more appropriate for young people and older people to stay in the sport and everyone in between? And the answer is this. It's the American development model. And I'm going to pass on to the experts in a sec to talk through this, but this is absolutely critical. This is going to take years and years and years to spread through, but it is the underlying philosophy of what we can do to make our sport better, so we have more of everything, particularly more fun. And in summary, the one line is what, when, and how we teach, train, and play. And that is down to you and the hundreds of other leaders of the sport in your communities. So we really need to understand, digest, challenge, and then deliver hockey in this way. So, now to go into more detail on that, I'm going to pass on to the experts. And we have Sally Craig, but first we have perhaps the leader in this movement in sport. And we've all seen how incredible US Lacrosse has been, one of our sister sports, in sharing how to deliver a great sports program. And I think this guy is probably the number one guy in the US in the American development model. So I'd like to introduce to you from US Lacrosse, TJ Buchanan.
Simon, thank you for that introduction. That was really, really generous. But I would be remiss to say that, while maybe looked upon as a leader, this is really a global effort across all of our sports, and there are some fantastic people at USA Ice Hockey, at USTA, at the PGA of America, and there are numerous people doing this, and it's really been a collective effort. And USA Field Hockey has been a fantastic partner with us, not only allowing us to share with them what we've been doing, but also to learn from them and continue to develop where we're going with our models. So, Simon, while I thank you for that gracious introduction, it's everybody that is going to make a difference with this, and not just one or two particular people. So let me make sure our clicker's going here. Oh my gosh, I'm pushing too many buttons. All right. So I'm going to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about the what, why, and the how of ADM. So I want to start off with a little bit of a historical perspective. This is not anything new, right? We are not reinventing how we teach kids, how we engage athletes, or anything like that. We're going way, way, way back. Anybody see the movie 300, right? The Spartans, right? So we take a look at this slide here. This stuff dates back to ancient Greece. We're talking BC times, thousands of years ago, right? And if we look at the very bottom, stages. Stages. The right things at the right time to train future Spartan warriors, right? Somewhere along the way in sport, we lost our way, and we thought, the way that we train them is we take the most advanced, most complex version of the game, and we throw that out there, and the kids will rise to it, right? It's not working. Right? So we're going to fast forward a little bit, right, from the BC times, and let's take a look at, let's say, 1930s Soviet bloc Russia. Take a look at our model again. Stages, right? Doing the right things at the right times. Now, we can argue for days, weeks, and years about, the Soviet methodologies and some of the things that came from that. But the concept was still there, ready for the start. Getting people to be courageous, right? Creating sports successors, right? And ultimately leading to that end one of cheerfulness and health. And really, that's what we want. That's the crux of sport, is making people happy and making them healthy for life. All of the governing bodies, as we start looking at the different models, call it something a little bit different. At Lacrosse, we call it lifetime engagement, right? I'm drawing a blank, but hockey's is like fun for life or engaged for life, right? Very, very similar, because that's our future coaches, that's our future program administrators, that's our future umpires and referees, right? So if we don't do the right things when they're 7 years old, we lose those people, right? We lament about the shortage of officials and the shortage of coaches. It's not because people don't want to do it, it's because we're turning them off to it when they're young, right? Fast forward a little bit. Right? And we're going to look at the Canadian Sport for Life model. And this is really what has kicked off the movement in the United States. A book was published called Long-Term Athlete Development by a guy named Isfan Bali, right? And it really outlined what we do when we do it with kids in order to provide them with the best experience possible. Right? Fast forward a little bit more, and we're looking at about 2015-ish now, the U.S. Olympic Committee, under the guidance really of USA Ice Hockey, created the American Development Model. The American Development Model is not new. Ice hockey did this about 10, 12 years ago, right, because they were seeing some problems in their sport. Number one was they weren't being successful in international competition. Right? Why could a country like Finland, who has the same population as the state of Minnesota, or very close to it, kick their butts in international competition? Right? So they really had to examine what they were doing. Right? So it was really brought in as a performance way, as a way of developing athletes to put them on the podium, win gold medals. And what has been found now is not only does it aid in performance, but it also is an amazing growth and retention model. When you do the right things for people, they want to keep doing it, right? And then they tell their friends about it, and then their friends want to do it, right? So, again, there's those 5 stages. The individual governing bodies have kind of taken their own twist to this under the blessing of the United States Olympic Committee and developed out their models. So what is all this stuff and what does it really mean? It's a GPS, right? Our GPS tells us how to get from point A to point B. Sometimes we have to take detours, right? If there's some construction going on there on East Ogden Avenue on that GPS, I might have to make a left turn and work my way around. That's development of kids, right? It's not this linear path. It's very twists and turns and winds, and sometimes you have to go backwards, right, to be able to go forward. But it's a framework or some guidance for what we do and when we do it to create the best environment possible. And at the end of the day, what it tells us is coach the athletes that you have. It gives us a framework to do that, not the ones that we wish we had. So I want to do a little demonstration of what this looks like in action. So go ahead and stand up. I know most keynotes we have to sit here and listen. I'm going to get you out of your seats a little. Craig, would you mind coming up with me to be my partner here? All right. So think about this of what is the right thing at the right time, and that's kind of our framework and context for this activity. So individually right now, I want you to practice counting to 3. Out loud, please. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. So we got the basic idea of how to count to 3, right? That's our early start. That's our lowest level of our ADM model. All right, now we're going to make it a little bit tougher. We're going to work with a partner. Craig is my partner. Craig, when we count to 3, I'm going to say 1, you say 2, I say 3, you would say, all right? So go ahead, let's take 7 seconds and practice that with our partners. 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. Go ahead and clap once if you can hear me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Clap 3 times if you can hear me. Craig, the mic shares, I'm done. No, kidding. All right, so we added a little bit of a challenge. I had to work with a partner. Oh, you're not going anywhere. Get back up here. You want to be the man of the convention. I'm going to put you on the spot, right? So I added a little bit of a challenge, making it a little bit more difficult. So keeping along those same lines, we're going to add a little bit more challenge, right? Craig, instead of saying the number 2, I want you to clap, right? So when it's your turn to say 2, clap your hands. Don't say it out loud, though. All right, so it looks something like this. 1, 3.
1, 3.
Get the idea? Ready? 7 seconds. Go. Four, 3, 2, 1, and time. All of a sudden, it got a little bit more challenging, didn't it? Life was not quite as easy in this game. But hold on. We're talking that's like middle school stuff. ADM is for everybody, right? So we're going to go college level now. All right, we're going to go college level. Don't worry, we're working up to national teams. We're going to go college level. Instead of saying the number 3, I want you to stomp your right foot. So we're going to say 1, clap on 2, on 3. Ready? So it looks like this. Ready, Craig? 1. 1. All right, ready, go. Became a little bit more challenging, didn't it? Notice what's happening in the room right now. You're learning new skills, but what are you also doing? Come on now, what are we doing? Having fun, absolutely. But we're improving. We're getting better. So fun and skill development are not mutually exclusive, and ADM starts tying these things together. So, I'm not going to embarrass anybody. I won't call you out, but we're going to go national teams level now. Left foot stomp on 1, clap on 2, right foot stomp on 3. National team level stuff. All right, Craig, are you ready? All right, go ahead and have a seat. Go ahead and have a seat, please. So we've had a little bit of fun with it, right? We've had a little bit of fun with it, and now we're starting to understand this is what ADM is about, right? Yeah, you're going to see some changes to things, and in the sport of lacrosse, where I come from, some people got up in arms because we changed the competition models on them. But think about that. If I'm putting 10 6-year-olds out on the field and expecting them to improve and expecting them to have fun, we know that there's 9 kids somewhere that are just like picking dandelions and looking at the airplane flying over, right? So we had to find a better way to engage them, and that got some people up in arms, right? Change isn't always easy, right? But as in our sport, as people are experiencing it, right, they're getting much more where you are right now, laughing, enjoying it, and going, man, this is really good stuff for the kids. So why is this important, right? Knock on your table if you agree with that statement. Right? Oh, we went too far. Take a look at those two. Knock on your table if you agree with either of those statements. Go ahead, knock if you agree. And fun has a lot of different definitions and meanings, right? What's fun for our 6-year-olds may or may not be fun for our national team athletes, right? They all have different expectations and wants and desires when it comes to how they interact and experience our sports, right? But ultimately, we have to do that or our sports die, right? In the sport of lacrosse, we're seeing a decline in our membership at U.S. Lacrosse at the 10 and under categories. Think about that. Before a child has even had an opportunity to even have a glimpse of that talent that shouts that Matt Robinson, I think it was Phil chatted about yesterday, right? Before they've even had an opportunity to even raise their voice, nevertheless shout, they're saying, I don't want to do this anymore, right? Because of what 5 things previous are all under the control of the adults, right? And ADM hopes to address that. So how do we address it, right? And I'm not going to get into a whole thing about skill development and skill acquisition. That's another hour in and of itself, right? But it's the idea of that explicit versus implicit learning, right? Yes, in explicit, when I give out the directions, that's the red line we see there, skills are going to go up super quick, right? And they're going to rise to a great level. But over time, we know those skills degrade, right? And it's not as much fun because somebody's shouting at you, right? If we do more of the implicit type learning where we're providing some guidance, a little bit of direction, and this is what ADM, a lot of it is founded on, it might take a little bit longer for your kid to get there, right? It's not a win by Friday mentality. It's focused on the long term. Remember our first slides, right? It's building, right? We don't have to have elite, and I hate the word elite when we talk about youth athletes, right? We don't have to have kids be elite at 8, 10, 12 years old, right? If we're talking gymnastics, yes, we do, right? And there's a whole lot of physiological reasons for that, right? But we also know that the skill is retained much better over time when you learn it yourself. It's this concept. Go ahead and take a look at this image. So I've worked a little bit with Johns Hopkins University and their educational department and a little bit in the neurological side of how people learn, right? Great quote at the end. If you remember nothing else about ADM, it's about providing struggle for the kids, but developmentally appropriate struggle, right? And not only is it desirable, it's a biological requirement. There are changes that happen to your brain in how you learn, how you grow and develop when you have to struggle to learn something. So when a plant doesn't grow, right? Anybody a gardener? Right? We have a little vegetable garden at our house right out back. When the carrots aren't growing like we want them to, we don't rip the carrot out of the ground and go, well, this carrot's worthless to us, we're going to throw it in the trash. We amend the soil, right? We maybe water it a little bit more. We add some nutrients to it. We do the right things to help it grow. We nurture that environment and provide those vegetables what they need to be able to grow. ADM is the same thing. It's giving the kids what they need to grow and develop. Remember, it's not just about fun. There's a performance component to this, right? But they flourish because they're having fun, because we're giving them developmentally appropriate trainings. I wanted to share a little bit of a video. This is from our 2017 National Convention with U.S. Lacrosse. We took a whole bunch of kids, we threw them out on the field, and ran a stations-based practice that's aligned with the core values of our model.
I think at the end of the day, especially at the youth level, it has to be fun.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Right now! Woo! We're going to run these kids through skills, drills, games, participation. They're all going to be moving, small groups. So it's station-based. We're going to rotate these kids through. You're going to see a lot of activity. You're going to see a lot of excitement. You're going to see a lot of fun. You guys ready? All right, let's do this.
It was interesting to see the players were engaged all the time. They were having a good time, and the feedback from them was tremendous. They were having fun.
They're doing their conditioning. They're doing the same cuts and moves that they're going to need in the game, and they're just having a blast.
The best part about it, we got to work with the whole team, get to know each other, and talk to each other, get to know each other's names.
Breaking it down into other sports that they understand and taking out it's all about lacrosse and making it more about fun and just having a good time will really keep the kids involved in it, because that reignites that whole playing a fun game, and it's always going to be fun.
I think developing the players at a young age and getting them more touches and getting them more to have a good time and keeping them involved in high school, we have to do that.
We're all just trying to build this youth lacrosse thing and make it fun for kids again. I like the smaller field, right? I like more touches, all the things that young players need, that if young players are playing on a monster-sized field, one kid might not touch the ball the entire game. So I like the small-sided stuff. I like all the different drills, breaking the game down into lower numbers, 2-on-2 from behind, 2-on-2 from the side, all those things.
We had to talk to each other to help tell each other where to go, help each other try and defeat the other team. So it took a lot of cooperation.
If you can walk by and see kids having fun and competing, that's all that matters. They're having fun and they're competing, which is the two things that we hope continue throughout their whole lacrosse career.
So the club that's featured in this video is from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. They're called Team Money. That's where they're out of. Funny story behind their jerseys. We won't get into that. But here's the thing. They're one of our early adopters in terms of the lacrosse athlete development model. And I got an email from their director the other day, about a week or two ago, and they are currently at 100% retention. And they have teams everywhere from 6 all the way through 14. 100% retention, 40% growth since they implemented in 2017, right? Because of what they do, the experience they provide, right? Not only that, so they play in the Winter League at the Nook, right? Everybody's familiar with Spooky Nook, right? They play in the Winter League there. They play all of their kids equal time. Everyone except the goalies play multiple positions on the field, and they went 10-0, and their average margin of victory was 7 goals. 100% retention, 40% growth, equal playing time, and they are crushing everybody in terms of performance. Now, we can argue for days about the value of, winning every game when you're in a youth, and that's not really why I'm here. But it works, right? You'll hear similar stories if you talk to the ice hockey folks, and I have 3, 4 other programs that I directly support that are going down those same pathways, right? So, some final thoughts, right? And I want you to think about this. Are you coaching Pong to kids who are ready and engaged with Fortnite? ADM is Fortnite for kids. It's the Fortnite of today for the program that you're doing. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. Go forth, be brilliant.